The Homeless Man Who Saved a Billionaire's Daughter. Chapter 4. An Unlikely Offer. The private elevator rose silently toward the top floor of the Sterling estate, a heavily fortified, three-story penthouse overlooking Central Park. Inside the glass-walled car stood Ethan Vance, stripped of his rags, bathed and transformed. Gone was the tangled beard and matted hair, his jawline was once again clean and sharp, his dark hair neatly trimmed, and his broad shoulders framed by a tailored, charcoal gray suit made of reinforced ballistic silk. Yet, no suit could hide the lethal posture or the fierce, calculating intelligence burning behind his ice-blue eyes. Beside him, Victor Sterling stood in quiet satisfaction, while Marcus held a leather briefcase containing Ethan's updated credentials. When the elevator doors glided open, the marble foyer opened up into a sprawling, sunlit living room filled with modern art and floor-to-ceiling windows. Aria was sitting on a cream velvet sofa, a laptop resting on her knees as she reviewed charity trust documents. Hearing footsteps, she looked up. For a second, her breath caught in her throat. She recognized the height, the powerful build, and those unforgettable, piercing eyes, but the man standing before her now looked less like a phantom of the alleyways and more like a high-ranking military commander returned from a long war. "Aria," Victor said softly, stepping into the room. "I believe you've already met Commander Ethan Vance." Aria set her laptop aside and stood up, walking toward them across the polished floor. Up close, without the blinding rain and smoke, she saw the faint scars near his left temple and the sheer intensity of his presence. "You," Aria murmured, a mixture of awe and relief coloring her voice. "I looked for you after that night. My father's security teams couldn't find a single trace of where you went. Ghosts are hard to track when they don't want to be found, Miss Sterling," Ethan replied, his voice a quiet, measured rasp. "It's good to see you unhurt." "Aria," Victor stepped between them, his tone turning serious. "As of this morning, Commander Vance has agreed to head our family's private defense protocols. He will be taking over as your personal guardian and chief security strategist." Aria looked from her father to Ethan, her brows furrowing slightly. "Father, we already have Marcus, and an entire corporate security grid. And that grid was breached 3 nights ago by professional mercenaries who nearly took you from me." Victor interrupted, his voice cracking with protective anger. "Julian Carter utilized black market military intelligence to track your vehicle. Marcus is a fine tactical officer, but Ethan built the very neural networks and defensive doctrines Carter uses against us. There is no one on this planet better equipped to keep you alive." Aria fell silent, turning her gaze back to Ethan. "Is that what I am to you now, Commander? A contract, a mission profile?" Ethan met her eyes directly, neither flinching nor offering empty pleasantries. "With respect, Miss Sterling, you are a target. Julian Carter doesn't care about your charity work, your dreams, or your humanity. To him, you are a $40 billion lever to break your father's company. My job isn't to be your friend or your shadow, it is to make sure that anyone who tries to hurt you ends up 6 feet under the pavement." His blunt, cold honesty sent a chill through the room, but rather than taking offense, Aria felt a sudden sense of safety she hadn't experienced since the attack. There was no corporate polish in Ethan Vance, he was a shield forged in pure iron. So, Aria said quietly, a faint, resilient smile touching her lips. What is our first step, Commander? First, Ethan turned to Marcus. We purge every electronic device, vehicle, and residence affiliated with the Sterling family. Every phone, tablet, and server gets wiped and reflashed with a closed-loop quantum encryption key I authored myself. Second, Miss Sterling, your public schedule is cancelled for the next 2 weeks. I have a gala tomorrow night, Aria countered firmly, stepping closer to him. The Sterling Foundation's annual winter benefit for homeless youth shelters. Hundreds of donors are attending, and millions of dollars in aid depend on my presence. I will not hide in a bunker, Commander. Ethan stared down at her, registering the stubborn courage in her posture. She wasn't just a spoiled heiress demanding a night out, she genuinely cared about the people sitting in the very cold streets he had just left behind. Then we go, Ethan said coldly, his mind already mapping out tactical choke points, crowd control measures, and sniper perimeters. But you wear discreet body armor beneath your gown, you do not touch any unvetted food or drink, and you stay within 3 feet of me at all times. Agreed, Aria replied softly. Later that evening, in a secluded command suite built into the penthouse's lower level, Ethan sat before an array of glowing monitors. His fingers flew across the mechanical keyboard with terrifying speed, typing lines of complex code that re-encrypted Sterling Global's global satellite feeds. Marcus walked in carrying 2 mugs of black coffee, setting one down on the desk beside Ethan. You move through a terminal like you were born inside one, Marcus remarked, leaning against the door frame. I spent 10 years building defense algorithms for NATO before I ever launched Vance Security, Ethan said without breaking his typing rhythm. Code is simple, Marcus. It obeys logic. It's people that break the rules. Marcus looked at the screens, watching lines of encrypted red text turn green as Ethan's new security wall came online. I wanted to thank you, Commander, for saving her that night, and for not taking my head off for letting my guard down. Ethan stopped typing for a fraction of a second, glancing up at the veteran bodyguard. They used an active military-grade signal dampener paired with a localized GPS tracker planted on your bumper. You weren't outmatched by skill, Marcus. You were betrayed by an insider who handed them your route. Marcus's jaw tightened. An insider inside Sterling Global. Precisely, Ethan said, clicking a final key as a global diagnostic map flared to life. The tracking device mounted on the Maybach was registered to a high-tier security badge manufactured exclusively for Carter Industries 6 weeks ago. But it was activated from inside this very building 4 hours before Aria left her office. Ethan brought up a list of 24 high-level personnel who had access to the executive garage logs that afternoon. So we have a snake in the garden, Marcus growled. Every garden has snakes when the grass gets too tall, Ethan said quietly, leaning back in his chair, his eyes reflecting the cold blue light of the monitors. Tomorrow night at the winter benefit, Julian Carter's operatives will expect us to be playing defense. They think I'm just a new face in a suit. Ethan took a slow sip of the black coffee, his expression turning into a mask of pure, lethal intent. Tomorrow night, we set a trap of our own.